Hi, Michael. Hi, Sabine.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
It's so awesome to have you on Founder Design Thinking. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you. How are you?
Good. It's like fall here, and I'm like putting away all the swim stuff from a summer at the beach. So.
But you have the nice flowers in the background. The summer.
Yes.
Flowers.
I think there can never be enough color. There can never be too much. Well, I'll do a quick intro and then I'll pass it to each of you to do an intro, and then we'll get into the slides. Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
Okay. And you know, everyone in the audience, this is our first time doing a three-way podcast. So I already interrupted Michael by accident. Sorry about that. And if you're in the audience, you know, comment where you're dialing in from, because I know Michael and Sabine, this is like the end of the day for you in Europe. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's getting dark outside.
It is?
He's in the north of Europe.
Well, I'm also here in the north, so the sun sets early.
Got it. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. I think, you know, after the workday, to ask all these questions about AI, it's a long day. So welcome to episode 34 of FounderDesignThinking.com, which had a goal of finding more than 10 unicorns for Founder Design Think. I think I'm up to like episode 40 now, so we definitely got there. I'm Jay-Z. I love consulting companies going from 0 to 1, and I also make software now for creators and podcasters. Schedule time with me at FounderDesignThinking.com below to get more customers and design think the features that will make you the most money. Help me welcome 33a.ai by commenting your location in the chat. So I'm going to turn it over to Michael for your introduction, and then Sabine for her introduction. So take it away.
Okay, hi. So I'm Mike. I'm one of the co-founders of 33a, based in Copenhagen. I'm the designer within 33a. Before 33a, I'm a book author within design processes and business innovation. Was a full-time lecturer within digitalization, and actually like the first AI design sprint I developed for my students, to help my students develop concepts using emerging technology for Danish companies. And then it worked with my students, and at the same time, there are a lot of companies wondering about AI. So now we launched the AI design sprint, and we are a small team, 33a, making a lot of companies very happy. And I'm based in Copenhagen, if I didn't say that. But originally I'm German.
Cool.
That's
me.
Yeah,
hi, I'm Sabine. I'm also from Germany. I live in Portugal. And I come from data science and AI consulting. And I joined a little bit later the company, but especially because what I saw was missing in the consulting world. Often AI projects, in my opinion, didn't start in the best possible way. We did lose stakeholders along the way. The projects got called off. And that's why I thought one of the solutions would be to have a design thinking solution. Before joining, I did also think about what I could do, but then I realized I have the technical side of things, but it was perfect match to come together with Mike, and we joined our forces. So I'm covering all the technical aspects, and we have the design thinking aspects in the company as well. So otherwise, I also have a background in neuroscience. That's where I did my PhD. And previously, I worked for Microsoft and Accenture. And now very happy with 33a.
That's awesome. You know, when I worked in product management at Capital One and the machine learning team, we would do sprints for design thinking and then AI incorporated. And sometimes we get in the middle and we're like, we don't have enough data, or there's not enough profitability. So I definitely hear you that there's a drop off, and anything we can do to get ahead of that is really important. I think, Michael, you're saying you could do your sprint in like an hour and figure that all out before you get like a month in.
We are very fast. An hour maybe it's maybe too ambitious, but a little bit more than an hour.
We can give you an
No, but
experience within an hour to try out.
We'll show also maybe later maybe the different phases we go through and how much time, but definitely less than, just it starts out with 2.5 days.
2.5 days. Yeah, I think that's
we really tick all the boxes and make sure that we can move forward in a technical way and then turn it into a technical feasibility check. So the sprint results in a technical briefing for a technical team, and then we can see what we can do and get our hands on the data.
Okay. Well, Jacqueline from Vienna, thanks for saying hi. And someone from Calgary, thanks for saying hi as well. The rest of you, please, let us know where you're calling in from. And I think we'll share some slides now just to give everyone like a visual orientation.
Okay, let me share some slides. Yes, 1 second. Yes, you should see this slide now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's coming up. Fantastic. Does anyone would like to have full screen from my side? Or
Yes,
is that
please.
okay? Full screen? We'll go
Yes.
with full screen.
Would be better.
Yes. Should I start? Should I explain something what we see here?
Please go ahead.
Okay. We could also just start really from the little bit earlier slide to just give a little bit of context. So why do we actually exist? Pardon?
Let's go from there.
From here?
Yes, from the top.
From the top. Yes. Okay. So this is the big challenge, and I think it's still the case that we see the technical people on the one side and the business people on the other side, and they speak different languages. So it's quite difficult, or it's a challenge to that those come together and work together. Oh, oh, I'm going the wrong direction actually. Yes, and this is actually why the AI Design Sprint exists. So the AI Design Sprint brings the different groups of people together. So it's about bringing all the stakeholders together and doing that in a way so they can rapidly develop AI solutions. So this is how it looks in the real world when we do those AI Design Sprint sessions. And we also do that remotely, mostly remotely actually. But it's the same principle. The teams gather together, they're around a board, and they work their way from the top to bottom, and at the end they have an AI solution concept. Then If we think about, so where does the AI design sprint come from? Of course, the word already says it. It's from the Google design sprint. And if we compare it to the Google design sprint, so it's really based on the Google design sprint. Google design sprint is this 5-day process, or sometimes it's a 4-day process. But the approach is quite broad, so it answers critical business questions. So with the AI design sprint, we have the experience. The people we talk to, they have not so much time, so we actually compressed it. So it starts out with 8 hours, and the focus is on AI. And we are very happy that Jay Knapp, the inventor of the Google design sprint, really likes our AI design sprint. Sharing more slides. We have actually, when we talk about the AI design sprint, it actually comes in 3 different forms or shapes, depending on the goal and the audience we are addressing. So on the left side, we see here the AI opportunity mapping. Here, the audience is the leadership of a company. Here, it's not so much about detailed, in-depth, defined concepts, but rather an overview of the AI opportunities or the impact of AI on my company. And we look on the organizational side as well as also on the product side. Outcome is, we call it the AI heat map. Then to the right, we have process automation. This is actually our most popular module. This is where companies apply AI to partly or fully automate and improve work processes. And then the third one is on the product side. Here we can look at existing products and services and improve them with AI, or we could actually start from scratch and develop new AI-based products and services. And this is how it looks in a timeline. So we could actually start with AI opportunity mapping, leading then to process automation or products and services. But in many cases, a client could also be, or on the client side, it could be that we talk with the head of a department, and then it's usually a process automation. So it's about applying AI within this department. So we could then already go into process automation. But at the end of the design sprint, we have tested and assessed AI solution concept, which actually could work as a technical brief. We could give it to a technical team to build. But what we would like to do is, and that's what you see here to the right, there comes the tech check and prototype to it. And maybe Sabine could say something about that.
Yeah, sure. So our promise is to go from 0 to prototype to AI prototype in 2 weeks. And considering we have all these sprinting steps, they result in a technical brief. Then I come in and do a technical feasibility check and build a rapid prototype. The minimum build is 5 days for the prototype. And then we have additional days prior to that to refine the AI concept and also to user test. But yeah, we are doing very quick build, quick first iteration that results in a web app that is a Streamlit web app that we are creating there. And that gives a organization just a first AI that is ready to use. Of course, it's not necessarily plugged in back into their IT systems and infrastructure, but it is just a first product that they can use. And
great.
yeah,
Should I already go out of the sharing?
Let's stay here. You know, Jacqueline Berger, thanks for the emoji of the tears. I think that was in a comment to the insight that Michael started with, that data scientists and business people are speaking very different languages. I think even within data science, like the supervised scientists and the unsupervised scientists, or the applied versus the theoretical scientists, also speak different languages. So it's really great to have this framework to get everyone together. So Jacqueline and anyone else, if you have questions, please comment here. I'll start with my own question, I guess, and maybe Michael, you can hide the screen share.
Actually, I'm hiding this.
I have to do that.
My sharing. Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. We're back to humanity. I think my question is actually for Sabine. 5 days for a prototype is pretty short. I'm used to working with like academic scientists, peer review, and it takes a long time. And then speaking to an AI investor, Sarah Guo, she says that like no GPU until product market fit, right? Like no modeling until you have demand from users. So I'm just curious, in that 5 days, are you all like modeling, or
Yeah.
that includes like changing backend or changing a model?
Well, in this case, the client would not have a model just yet. The model could come from a model catalog. So it could be a pre-built model. It could be a transfer learning based on an existing model that has already been trained, and we're just adding a layer on top. It could also just be a single feature of the whole solution that has been designed. It might not be based on the data that we get from the client. It could be based on data that is open source, but it is relevant to their use case, for example. And this doesn't necessarily require any heavy compute. Yeah, so we could also build it on a subset of the data, but it's always great to have something that is dynamic, that is interactive, that is based on actual data that is relevant towards the use case. And this is what we do as a first iteration. It's not plugged into the client's system and infrastructure. It's just a standalone Streamlit web app that we work with here as a prototype, but it has the whole pipe, the full steps, which are the exploratory data analysis in the beginning. From there, we train the models. Of course, there's some feature selection, there's some feature engineering, depending, of course, on the use case. We also add some layers of explainability and transparency, because for us, the ethical part and already also bringing in those aspects is very important.
I see. So you're saying you're using off-the-shelf like models from a catalog for this prototype, but you can refine it with a feature. And I just want to clarify for all the product managers out there, like a feature does not mean like a button, it means like a piece of data. Is that right? Can you give us an example?
Sure. So it doesn't have to be off the shelf. That is an option. I would focus on the most simple solution, what we can build really quickly, but also even doing custom models. This could be more classical machine learning, for example. That is also possible within just a few days. Yeah. Okay, coming back to what is a feature.
Thank you.
Yes. So relating back to the technical brief or the result of the AI design sprint, the participants, they describe the AI solution in different steps. And each step could be a feature, for example, of the AI solution, but also each feature could be a different model. And within the prototype, I would make sure which step is the best to build, because I have the data that is available and so on. So it's not necessarily everything that they came up with, because they get really creative. And I mean, not everything is possible. So we'll bring it back down. We do the assessment and then see, okay, my recommendation now from all of this is, okay, I can actually do this part in a short period of time. Maybe the other things are more related to robotics or require different hardware. So of course that would not be possible within that time frame.
Oh, so a feature is a step in the process.
Yes, it's more a step. It's a description as a part of the AI solution that they describe. Yes. Yeah, feature can mean so many things, especially also in data science, the variables, feature, and so on in the data set. So yeah, very easy to confuse in various contexts.
I like that we're creating new meanings for this word.
Yeah, in data science, often it's just a variable that is part of my machine learning model. So that is usually a feature for us.
So the variable could be a step in the workflow too.
The variable is just a column in the data set, and that is the feature that we use as the input, as part of the input data set for our model that we're training, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But also
I was used to that second definition, but you created a third one, and I love like semantics, so it's great. We're creating new meaning here in this podcast. Well, I think we'll turn over to Michael. So you mentioned that you created this process with your students and they found it really valuable with their clients. So tell us about that, like how it got started and any changes along the way.
Yes, so back in the days, I think like my co-founder would say it was really the minimal viable product. It was very, very rough. But yeah, back in the days, actually it was really before the AI wave and hype. But it was that companies were curious about AI, and well, with my students, they didn't have a big technical background, and so how do I help them develop digitalizations or concepts using emerging technology for Danish companies? So that was really a challenge. But then this method with using the Google design sprint, using also back then I used like the first version of our AI cards. And so I merged that and and in a really short period of time, they were able to then present concepts for those Danish companies. I think we were surprised. The students were surprised. No, but and that was actually the time, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, where just AI. I think like DeepMind did this with the game of Go, that really got the attention, and so companies started to wonder about AI, and also to understand AI, not only think about applications, but just to understand what is AI, what is the breadth of different technologies within AI, because of course it's just an umbrella term. And so so it really worked with my students, and then I launched it here in Copenhagen. It's called a tech festival, and in Malmö it's called the conference. That's where I launched officially the AI design sprint. And now we are a small team. And actually so we think this is really the right approach to AI. But because we are just a small team, well, we can't change the world if we just do design sprints every week. So that's why we switched and sometimes we run AI design sprint when a company is asking us, but most of the times we are teaching or enabling other teams to run or to lead AI design sprints. So now we would like to see that many out there are running AI design sprints, and with our clients, it's always nice to hear about their projects, and they already have those really trusted relationships with large companies, and so it's just nice to see now everywhere some AI projects are starting, and starting with the AI design sprint, where we think this is actually really the right way.
I see. So you're saying because you wanted to keep the company small, you decided to flip the consulting model into a train the trainer. So instead of executing yourselves, you're training people who are already embedded full-time, or have a trusted relationship with the team.
Yeah, basically it's like there are AI projects happening everywhere. So why don't we enable those people instead of, I don't know, jumping in between? So why don't we enable a lot of like business consultants or teams within large organizations to start AI projects? And a lot of times we also seen like the first challenge we've seen is with business consultants. Well, their clients are very curious about AI, but a lot of times also their clients are just curious about AI, but they also don't have a technical background. So it's really like business consultant talking to a non-technical business person about a technical field of complex AI. So how do we enable them to get started with AI? And so that's really where they all kind of started, or that's kind of the first group where we have seen they really need some assistance and some tools and a process to get started.
Jacqueline's saying, great to enable others as well. Love it.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
As business people talking to business people, talking to scientists, then when does science get involved in the design sprint? Is it early on in the budgeting or later on?
So your question is when does it get more scientific, or if scientists are also our audience, or could you just
I guess are scientists often involved in the early budgeting and scoping of the projects, or are they trying to get the projects to even start in their companies, or do they get involved much later?
It depends. Everything is possible. So I mean, back when I was working in consulting as a data scientist, then I would get involved when it came to shaping use cases, when it came to suggesting use cases. So it was more like me top down suggesting the use cases rather than doing workshops, but also depends a little bit on the company culture. I mean, everyone goes about it a little bit differently. And here, as part of the AI design sprint, we do also have sometimes technical people in the sprint, sometimes only technical people, sometimes no technical people. So everything is possible. They can be involved from as early on, or at least we need them after the AI design sprint to then do a technical feasibility analysis and also then go towards the build. Of course, the client then, once they're trained, once they're running the AI design sprint. Of course, our tool is also kind of a sales tool. So if you're an IT consultancy, you're doing the sprint, and then you land a project based on the results of the sprint. So whether you want to do a quick prototype or not, it's up to you. And maybe you can also go straight into a bigger project and scope out that roadmap for, I don't know, like a 3 months POC. That's totally possible. And at the stage when it gets technical, that's where we would need a scientist, data scientist, AI researcher, so to help out. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think you're saying scientists are obviously involved at the end, but it's nice. I prefer to have all the functions involved in the beginning, and they get to brainstorm and have, you know, divergent ideas before there's an evaluation or a choice to converge. Then how does design come into it all? Because, you know, in my experience with a lot of scientists, they like to read in advance, and they don't want to be like doing impromptu brainstorming. So I'm just curious, Michael and, you know, Sabine, from a design perspective, the design hat, how do you help scientists, business people, non-designers put on that design hat?
Like one audience is, or we have also experience with, just really technical teams. So it's also really great just for technical teams. They're actually surprised how quick they come to AI concepts. So that's also really nice for technical teams to move quickly. But how do they get this design hat on? When we do it with technical people, we always tell them, usually they have all those technical, I know, limitations already in their head. And so we would like them to be a little bit bold with their ideas, or come out with a lot of ideas which are maybe a little bit outlandish, maybe at first. And so we tell the technical people, okay, we know all those technical maybe constraints. We'll park that, because later on, as soon as we develop the concept, we also have an assessment session. That's where we bring it all into reality. So we explain a little bit what we have in this design thinking, this diamond, where we first open up and then later on come together and bring it into reality in the assessment. And so we just move all this to the second part.
Yeah, so they can really go crazy in the beginning. And I think they also enjoy that, because usually they have to focus and be so specific. At the same time, our steps that we do throughout the sprint are quite small and straightforward. So it's not like they might feel uncomfortable. And I did share that with you, JC, in the beginning, that when I first did design thinking, which is years ago, but I did a training when I was working at Accenture, and for me it felt quite strange, or I mean, not strange, but I needed to open up to the idea, and it was just a way of working that I wasn't used to. And I think how we made it in the AI design sprint, because of these small steps, you just go for each little activity, and they're quite clear. It's easy to follow. And at the same time, we didn't maybe mention enough of our key tool, which are the AI cards. And in the AI cards, we show all of the capabilities, all the functionalities, everything we can do with AI. And now you get to sort those cards and match them with, for example, the process steps of the process that we want to automate. And also, as a technical person, we live in silos, and we're good at certain techniques. Maybe you're more focused on computer vision and not so much on NLP. And in the cards, then finally you're reminded of, okay, what is possible? And then also as a technical person, it's just really nice. Oh yeah, thank you for showing the cards. They have great colors. And yeah, so they just become a tool that's fun to play with during the sprint and get creative. And then it's also a big surprise then for technical team to see, okay, yeah, we could build all of this and we never thought about it. And I mean, then it's already such a long list. We can't do everything, and then we will prioritize and so on. But yeah, it's always really, really nice to see that.
That's exciting, right? You get to have all the ideas before internally you say no to it, or like, you know, just have a brainstorm. I think that's really satisfying for technical people as well. So this question came up: do you find technical teams coming to you with business problems that they feel might be able to be addressed by AI, or are they more coming to you with a desire to implement AI, but they don't know the problem they're trying to solve yet?
Yeah, I think they come more in the beginning when they're still looking for a starting point, and we're still really mapping out where we can use AI. How can AI infuse a business process in a good way? So it's more of a it's more I don't have the good word for it, but it's not like you have to define the starting point so well in the beginning, so they're not necessarily coming with a clear idea, but we are framing the business problem together. We're selecting a business process together. We are selecting a product together, or the intention could also be to invent a new product or to map out what products are in the organization, or we go from the department level. So those are all different starting points. We can look at the org chart, we can look at the different departments and see where could AI come in, where would it make sense, with what kind of use case, and then we define those use cases as part of the sprint and match the technologies on top of those accordingly.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it's an anonymous user, or I just can't see your name. So please, you know, comment if you have a follow-up question or if that answered satisfactorily. I think it's really interesting that, you know, in this moment of the recession, there's still so much excitement about AI that you often don't have a business leader who's like, no, I'm not going to do AI, right? Even if like the budgets are very, very narrow, especially now in Q4, like there's still appetite to brainstorm without having like 100 million in revenue already allocated for this model, right? So even if it doesn't make money or breaks even or only saves a little bit of money, I think that businesses are pretty excited about just getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly. And at the same time, we are also not only focusing on stuff that is difficult to build, but we also have ChatGPT cards, and we have a ChatGPT cards course coming out where any user, it doesn't have to be a technical user, can then learn about different use cases and how do these cases apply to their own activities, and then they can try it out straight away on ChatGPT. So we're giving the automation really into the hands of everyone and see how we can map it out with a sprint, but then also enable anyone to really try it out on ChatGPT and see if that is relevant towards the tasks and the activities that they are doing in their own job, for example.
Yeah, and I think right now a lot of companies are thinking about AI strategy because it's such a a hype and they experience like ChatGPT. They are now experiencing really firsthand how sophisticated AI is, and so it's not so much about budget, but it's really about seeing that there is a potential, seeing use cases, seeing it firsthand personally even, and then thinking about, so what does this mean for our business? And so, yeah, so that's why it's actually quite interesting for companies to do this AI opportunity mapping, to get this overview, to see, okay, where are maybe what also Sabine mentions, more the short term, or what could we build now, plus also look a little bit on the horizon and say, so how would our business, what's the impact or the potential impact of AI on my organizational side, product side, and we even now added the business model to it, and then see, and then you have this overview, and you can really then develop this AI strategy for it. And then you can, and out of this comes then where you also find out where should I start? Because a lot of people or a lot of companies are also quite overwhelmed. So you see, we are in this AI hype. Use cases are everywhere within my industry, also outside of the industry. But where do you start? So this AI opportunity mapping is really a nice starting point where you get this overview. Plus, we also prioritize the AI opportunities. So that means the top AI priority AI opportunities are the starting points.
Yeah, I love.
We find out where do I start with applying AI.
I love that you all kind of do a heuristic. You look at everything in that company's process, and then you pick the easiest one. Because I think with designers, the stereotype is like, oh, we're just going to think about it, and then who knows like what the action is. And I think, just to circle back to Sabine, what we talked about before is that everyone likes to know that there's an end to the process, right? After these 2 half days, after your prototype, there's a tangible result, and then it's done. Like, for then it's done. You can slot it into 2024 planning and this budget and this quarter, and it's like tightly packaged and done. And I think there's a finality in that that's really satisfying for business, for scientists, for designers, for like anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. On the one hand, we have a lot of ideas, but then we prioritize and we make it all actionable and bite-sized so that this can be taken towards a build or a first technical iteration. And then we can keep the other ideas. Maybe we can re-uptake them again later and even sprint a little bit more on those and explore them further. So of course, in a way, it is still open-ended because so much is happening and there's just those many, many, many ideas. But yeah, we have tangible results at the end that work within the business processes that are within the organization. So that is quite handy as well.
Is there an example that you all can share through like the screen share or just talk to, and how one of the trainers that you trained talked to users or brainstormed ideas before they focused or looked at competitors or looked at data and then came out with the result? Maybe not, maybe.
It's not something we've prepared. We would have had to ask a client if it's something we can share. Don't have an example from our side that we prepared either. So yeah, sorry, we don't have that.
That's okay. And anyone who's in the audience, please throw in your question because I think we're gonna wrap up soon. So I'll ask one or two more questions. So I think back to here. Hey Lance, thanks for joining. Any advice on what teams should avoid?
They should definitely avoid not doing an AI design sprint.
And I mean, they should also get into alignment. So, yeah. So, what else? Maybe
not be excited.
Wait, say that again. Alignment, and I missed the thing that Michael said.
Yeah, Mike, what did you say?
Yeah, there should not be not excited. No. I don't think there's so much to avoid. I think they just I think they will be surprised by how easy it is to come into an AI design sprint session. And so the nice thing is actually it's not someone else presenting you the solution, but it is you creating actually your AI solution for yourself or with your team or with your colleagues. And so that's nice. And it's also like an enabler, like how do I talk with my colleagues or with my team about AI and how do I make progress? So that's all so at the end, people are actually quite excited that in a short period of time, they developed AI solution. I don't think there's anything to avoid.
I think, Michael, you're saying, but being nice is nice, right? Like having your stakeholders and collaborating early and just being nice is like a great part of the design sprint ethos of, having everyone share their ideas and being equals and equally excited. I love that nice part.
And definitely
maybe I could share Maybe I could share this little from the experience session, this little board.
Well, yeah, we still want to share a board. And I also see we have another
So we
question.
see something a little bit more. Should I share my little board? So this is, of course, not the full AI design sprint or the boards we usually work in the AI design sprint. So this is just really a small portion, just a mini example.
Yeah, it's an example from an experience session. We do run those regularly, so you can always also sign up for an experience session. They're usually 90 minutes. You can sign up on our website, and this will help you get started.
Jacqueline, we'll come back to your questions, but Sabine or Mike, do you want to zoom in on this or walk us through
Yes,
it?
maybe I can say a little bit what's the starting point. So the starting point is here that we would look at a process. We map out this process. So this is actually prepared for the session. And here the example is the candidate screening process within HR. So we map that in 8 steps, show a little bit in the sketches what the interaction is. And on the orange post-its, we write what does the person do at the employee do at each of the steps. And so this has an input and an output. Applications are coming in, and at the end, the employee has a list of applicants for in-person interviews. And so the first phase is a little bit in analyzing, setting pain points of this process. And then we look at the AI technology, those AI cards. Maybe we can look I'll just continue, or Sabine, do you want to jump in too?
Yeah, maybe we can have a look at the cards, if you can zoom into those a little bit more. So here now we have selected one process step, and we're matching the cards to automate only that single step. Of course, in a longer sprint, we match the cards with many process steps, but here are some examples. So with the AI cards, we formulate what AI can do from the perspective of the user, and from the headlines, you can already see what is written there. I can't read it right now, but can we see just one of the pink cards? The pink cards are AI makes decisions and it makes recommendations. So here we have AI plans next best actions. It learns to make better decisions over time, for example. And the cards are organized according to complexity, according to different categories, and also we can flip them, and then on the back side you can find different use cases of organizations who are already using these technologies. So yeah, now in this part of the sprint, the participants are matching the cards. Okay, yeah, great. Here we can see some use cases. We can also see some technical terms. And yeah, so here they're matching the cards to see how can we automate this process step. And here we just collect many, many, many cards. And then we can prioritize again and select the 3 most important cards that we then use to put on a post-it the description of our first AI concept that we have created here really quickly in this experience session. And that is just what the participants came up with.
Exactly. And then we move this concept back into this process and change then what does the employee does, and also the sketch. So that means the developed AI concept is actually made visible in this process map. And here in this session, we just focused on one process step. And then we actually go to here also the ethical part. So the team has developed a concept here for step 4, and now they also check it ethically. So we have here a couple of AI ethics cards, for example, fairness, dignity, and so on. And here what the team did was select the relevant AI ethical cards. They wrote what they would need to change in the concept and moved that up into the concept. And so what we see here is then an AI developed concept for step 4 within candidate screening, and it's ethically checked.
Well, awesome. Thanks.
And so
everyone
this
for
is
the
just a
comments.
very simple, small exercise or an example, and it's just a small portion from the AI design sprint, but it shows how you work with those AI cards to develop a concept for a work process.
Yeah, if you're in the audience, you got like 6 minutes to comment a question on these really colorful and interesting cards. But Jacqueline, let's get back to your question. What is the AI maturity? Was it evenly distributed in the companies?
Yeah, so when we can say for train the trainers, we also see quite different levels of AI maturity. So it could be an IT consultancy that wants to go into AI, but they are not in this market just yet. But then also they are interested often in training people in their team to do the AI design sprint, and then sometimes they partner up back with us or other companies which then help them to build the AI. So that would be an option. Or it could be a company that already has a lot of AI, but the AI design sprint will help them to land more AI projects. The majority otherwise, if I was the technical person, I think it's definitely not that evenly distributed as what I have seen in the past. So I think a lot of companies still have to catch up a lot, get started, or even if they already have products and they already started, then of course there's still more degrees to the maturity that has to happen there as well. So I think it's a big spectrum in terms of maturity, but the maturity itself is not the aspect that would limit you not to do the AI design sprint.
And great job on making the process fun and colorful. Love the color palette.
Yeah, so it's really for people, they feel it's nearly like a board game, or it's very playful. And so it's actually especially when we do it on site, it's really playful and they come out smiling. No, it's a really fun time. And we also like to have that. Like, we would like that people are not intimidated by technology, by AI, but that they get confident with it, and they come out of the session and see, wow, I just developed an AI concept, even though I went into the session being a little bit maybe scared, or thought I'm in the wrong room here. I don't belong into an AI design sprint session. But then they're surprised by, wow, I just developed here an AI concept now with my colleagues. Great. And now I can also talk.
Hilarious. I love that.
So in the session, we also in the assessment worked a little bit with data. Now I can talk with my data scientist about stuff. So first they developed an AI solution for their company, and at the same time they are now a little bit more educated and actually can continue have a really on a eye level conversation with experts.
Yeah, I think it's really fun, and so I've led Zoom workshops where someone comes in, they're like, wait, this is the wrong meeting, and they're like, I'm just gonna stay because it's like much more fun than the meeting I was supposed to go to.
Yeah, I mean, AI is also exciting, so why not don't be scared and just jump into a session and have fun with it. And of course it should be fun. It is exciting. And so that's why, well, the session itself is a little bit fun, but of course it's also nice that we made AI understandable. So then it's also fun because a lot of people are, I think, scared because of the lack of knowledge about it. I think if people know more and have a better understanding of AI, the more you would actually start AI projects or try to apply it somewhere. So
yeah, I think that people are scared that they are not an AI expert, but I always say, like, well, who really was, like 6 months ago, or with the ChatGPT release yesterday, like who really is more than what they were yesterday, right? Like, everyone is learning together. No one is like the be all expert, and it's a great time to get excited with other people who are also learning.
Yeah, and at the same time, the people in the companies, they have such a great knowledge or like a deep insights into their processes, how they work. Like no one outside has this has those insights, and so this is what they actually bring into the session, those insights into their work processes, or what is really valuable for their company or their business. And so that's really also like one of the main reasons for the AI design sprint is really finding out what is actually valuable for you, and we need to do that in collaboration with the people in the company, because they at the end know what is actually really valuable for them.
That business problem, the revenue generation,
Exactly.
something they know, right?
Yeah, because a lot of times when people just come from the outside, they just would recommend something which is just technical possible to do. Well, but that doesn't mean that this is really that you should actually do that it is really valuable. So the purpose is, so you should first find out what is actually most important for you, and that's where your project should be.
I love that. That's such a nice note of confidence for every one of us, right? That we're already experts at making the money. So this just helps us get there a little faster. I think we're coming to a close. So, everyone, please get in touch with Mike and Sabine on LinkedIn and on their website. But Mike and Sabine, do you have any questions for this community of founders who design think sometimes with AI?
I think it would be great to learn about any opportunities to collaborate. And if you want to get an experience, then we're always around as well. So that would be just nice to open the room for potential collab.
Yes, and we are always for hands-on experience. So so like what Sabine said, so usually we do it once or twice a month, a small experience session, because we think you just need to experience it a little bit, and then it all makes sense. And that's really the best way actually to jump into it.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Sabine, go ahead.
No, if we can have a community event, then we are also open to host that.
I'm sorry?
If we could have a community event with an experience session, for example, we could host that within the community.
Yeah, get in touch with them. Let them know if you want to sign up for something like that. And I think this is like a free trial for.
Absolutely.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, it's free.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I hope it was fun, and thanks for answering all the questions like on the fly.
Likewise.
You're welcome. It was super nice.
So my outro is we'll be doing a couple more podcasts through the end of the year, and they'll be on game design with AI. So I'm really interested in that because I never thought I could no code make a game. And I'm also looking for true fans. So I'm creating a podcast product for people who want to illustrate the ideas behind the words. So when podcasts are on mute, people don't know what all these talking faces are talking about. So the illustrations give people an idea and helps them connect with the content as well. So anyone out there who wants to be a true fan, a beta tester, give me lots of feedback, get a free illustration, let me know. And with that, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Hi.
You guys can stay on the stream.